I'm going to tell you something horrible that happened to me 2 weeks ago. I couldn't keep it to myself any longer, so I decided to write it down so I could stay sane and know that what happened was true. It all started one night when I had an unexpected visit from a friend at my house. His face was pale and his body was shaking non-stop. In his right hand, he held a blue flash drive, which he slowly brought closer to my face. "Take it," he whispered. I obeyed in terror and put the flash drive in my pocket. Immediately, my friend clapped his hands away. His face began to cry silently. His cries became louder and louder until they turned into screams of agony. I was terrified and tried to ask him what was happening. He suffered on the floor for a few seconds and then he stopped breathing. I screamed for help until my mom answered me. The rest I prefer not to remember. The day of the funeral was one of the most disturbing I've ever experienced. Seeing my friend's entire family cry for him destroyed me inside. The autopsy said the cause of death was an epileptic seizure and he never asked me. For my version of the story, I never knew why. When I got home, I locked myself in my bedroom and started to cry, going over the moment of his death over and over again. Then I remembered the flash drive. I quickly checked the dirty clothes basket and looked in the pocket of the pants I wore that day, and then I found the flash drive. At first I hesitated to plug it into the computer, and to this day I am very sorry I did. I was totally terrified, but I decided to see what that thing was hiding. I turned on the computer, and as soon as it loaded, I quickly plugged the pendrive into the slot. A window appeared saying that the pendrive had a file. It was a document written in a language that I still haven't deciphered. I opened it without thinking. The document contained a file called Sonic the Hedgehog X. I noticed that the name was misspelled, but I couldn't process it in my mind. I double-clicked on the file and an error message appeared. I don't remember exactly what it said. I only remember that it said something about the file not existing. I felt a small relief, and then I remembered that the name itself was misspelled. More than once I managed to fix a file by correcting the name. So I added a word to it. The file allowed me to correct the name, leaving it as Sonic Shock X. That's when I remembered that my dead friend loved Sonizo. I was terrified of assimilating things. But I was reassured by the fact that it was the friendly blue character. I double-clicked on the new file. The screen went completely black. A few seconds then, at the bottom right of the screen, text appeared that said, "Loading," with 3 ellipses that appeared and disappeared frequently. "This is a fucking game," I exclaimed. I didn't know how to feel about this. I waited for it to load and the screen changed to a background of a totally colorful 8-bit landscape with the Sonic logo moving sideways like in the classic games, along with the typical music. For a moment I thought it had nothing to do with my friend's death. That was until I saw the fine print of the main menu of the game, where it should say "The Company of Being" and other credits. Everything was written in what seems to be the same strange language that the document that was inside the pendant was written in. A shiver ran through me and I decided to press the button. The name of the level appeared, with the same music as the original game, and then the level started. I moved left and right with the keyboard arrows and I could jump with the spacebar. I held down the right button to advance in the level. The character ran totally normal. I miss it started when I crashed into an enemy in the original game. If you crashed into an enemy of Sonic, yellow rings came out in the form of damage. But this time that happened. Instead of rings, some very strange objects came out in the form of a red square. My optimistic mind thought it was a simple boot, but deep inside I knew it was not a good sign. And advancing until I finished the level. The next one, where the title of the next level should have been. Text was displayed in the same strange language that I mentioned above. This time the background was not normal, it was a blood red that moved slowly. That's when I got scared and pressed the escape button. The game did not close, so I used control when delete did not work either. I despaired while the image was violently distorted. A flash appeared, a light that flickered very quickly, that paralyzed me. I could not move or close my eyes. I could only see the horrible things that happened on the screen. Excessively disturbing women's rights began to sound, while Sun's face was shown in the foreground crying blood, while text that said "RIP" appeared everywhere. The screams did not stop, in fact they were getting louder. I began to cry, but without being able to move, my eyes simply watered. Then I began to shiver. I will end up like him. I thought, terrified. The screen turned black and the screams stopped. I struggled to move. But it was in vain. On the black screen, a huge number 10 appeared written in red. Then it changed to 9 or 7. I have to get out of here. I thought without being able to move. 6, 5. With my greatest effort, I managed to move my finger, then my head, my arms, and then my entire body. The count was at 2 when I jumped to the floor, covering my head as if it were a gunshot. I heard a horrible woman's scream similar to those that sound in those horror jokes that are on the internet. Only this one was scarier and worse. It was prolonged. I quickly disconnected the cable from the computer, took it out, the flash drive, and stomped on it until it was destroyed. The nightmare was over. Even so, I couldn't stop shivering. I dried my tears and left the computer room. I never told anyone until now. Maybe I should forget it. Sometimes I think I shouldn't risk my life out of simple curiosity. It's not worth it. But if I'm sure of one thing, is that whatever happened after that countdown, I never want to know.